Greetings, this is Freenair Reinventure. I'm here as what could be the start of a new series. I've always been a fan of Yugioh, among other things, such as Pokemon, too. But what really kept my interest in these various franchises is the way to help express myself creatively. In that I try to find out the rules of this stuff and then try to create stuff myself. This should be very apparent from all the various homebrews I've made at the end of my Critical Role recaps. So, with all these different ideas, I think it's about time I start sharing and making stuff. First off, I'll be showing a new card. But first off, you should know it's based off an existing archetype or group of cards. The Solemn Trap card. Most are continuous traps, though I think or counter traps. Continuously are not just a one use, and will continue. Well, the counters specifically are the highest level of spell speed, which is to say, in response to the only other the same spell speed, which in this case means only other counter traps can be used in response. This is one of the most famous archetypes and stuff. And it has a little bit of a backstory too. And before I say anything further, I should also I wish I could have gotten this finished. I'd say I got caught up things and got a late start on Action Period, so it didn't come out the day I wanted. But happy belated Easter, which this card was inspired by. You see, the main focus of the Solemn card is usually this white-haired woman who is, I believe, inspired by the Judeo-Christian idea of God, and with the themes of Easter, I thought, which I already had an idea for a card to be based off of, I decided to, why not include it into the archetype. First off, let's find out what the.
Throughout history, a number of individuals have. In today's video, let's explore the lore of the Solemn archetype.
I'll have a link in the description.
Throughout history, a number of individuals have witnessed events that can only be described as miraculous. One of the miracles include rain clouds rejuvenating the lands that had been dead for years. And during these events, there was always one figure present, a tall man with a long white beard and hair, dressed in white robes, wearing a leaf crown. They simply called him God, and with every encounter, God spoke of how those who remained true to the righteous path would be welcomed into heaven alongside him. There was this one rule that God always reminded his followers when their time will come to enter heaven, and it is that, if anyone touches the forbidden artifacts in the divine realm, will be banished from heaven and lose their angel wings. However, despite all the warnings set by God, there was still one maiden who dared to touch the forbidden artifacts. She first touched the forbidden dress, a sacred garment woven from celestial threads. Her second offense was taking the forbidden lance, stored in God's treasure room, and previously wielded by God himself. Finally, she drank all the holy water from the forbidden chalice, and emptied it to the last drop. God was enraged by her sheer ignorance, touching not one, but 3 of his artifacts. But despite her nearly unforgivable actions, God still chose to grant the maiden one last chance for redemption. And for some time, it seemed
I should probably point out that this is that we get this art, the backstory lore from the art of the description. So this is just one of different interpretations, and how someone established their own order of events according to God's thing. There's no official canon timeline for these backstories.
She might succeed in redeeming herself. Until she dared to lay hands on God's most sacred treasure, the forbidden scriptures. That was the last straw, as God declared her guilty and unworthy of remaining in heaven. Struck by God's lightning, the maiden plummeted from heaven. The damage from the divine lightning quickly manifested on her body. Her once majestic white dress transformed into a torn and unsightly black and red garment. Her white angel wings shed its feathers, revealing red bones, and gradually turned black. She also lost her eye as additional punishment, and eventually grew devil horns. As time passes, the maiden grew increasingly hideous. Her skin turned pale from lack of sunlight, while her clothes and wings darkened from exposure to dirt and smoke. Only a few feathers clung to her now lifeless wings, and her eyes turned blood red. Now known as the Condemned Witch, she dedicated herself to a life of revenge, until, one day, a purplish light approached her. A dark fairy named Asmodeus rescued the Condemned Witch and led her to the Dark Lord Shrine. Asmodeus revealed herself as a Dark Lord, one of the fallen angels banished from God's heaven, just like her. The Dark Lords sought revenge on God and devised a plan to defeat him and absorb his powers. Dark Lord Nastin opened a stairway to heaven, and the Dark Lords took turns battling God to weaken him. Ultimately, the Condemned Maiden delivered a powerful attack, the purple lightning, fueled by her intense hatred towards God. As God collapsed, she approached her and absorbed all his power, changing to a new form. With God's powers now hers, she became the Condemned Dark Lord, an embodiment of both God and a fallen angel. And that is the lore of the Solemn archetype. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next card story. In today,
and that is, well, at least one interpretation to, like, for instance, one of the things was it mentioned, like, one of the Dark Lords NASA create a staircase there, but another people point out that that he's also seen the things where he's still, like, in his Dark Lord, bound before God and being what seems to be purified. So, and with another thing about seeing him being strapped down by the condemned Dark Lord or Witch or whatever it was, he may have actually been secretly still loyal to heaven, to the divine. So, and they're also saying that some of the Dark Lords rose up and basically revolted in. There's another one, and also one saying that there was a protest. A lot of the Dark Lords actually rose up in protest to the punishment of the Condemned Maiden. And so there is some, and also her, and also what was it called? Also, Witch Strike, like some people's interpretation say the Witch Strike wasn't what brought him down. But a lot of stories does say that like the god in this does go down. Now, I am of the Catholic faith, practitioner of Christian, and according to that, and in other things, Easter is the celebration of like after Jesus Christ, for basically tried to redeem us of our sins by taking on himself and dying for them by being crucified. And on false, basically make yourself a willing scapegoat, and then it's only to use the Sabbath to also descend into hell and wake up the sleeping righteous spirits who waiting for they could fully ascend to heaven, which he did on the third day, which is celebrated as Easter, bring like life. Eternal life or or perhaps even considered new life. I say new life because of the card I got. So how would fit this in is, well, I already had a card in Easter based, and I just and upon adding this on them, added a secondary effect for this, and that's where we come in with my homebrew card. The Solemn Revival. It has artwork It's basically this art splits up with the artwork depicting the revived Solemn deity going up, revived or reborn younger and refreshed. I have the original picture had a bit of a thing where lines here that indicate a cross, but straight up religious symbols are usually censored in like the Western versions of the artwork. So instead made more it's almost like a halo containing an 8-pointed star, though you can only see the 7 prongs because it's behind him, with the last one being behind. Consisting of one sword, which is like 2 overlapping squares, like there, and I'm going there, up, there, like 2 form swords. Then a more pointed one that falls within the circle, and one, and then another one whose prongs fall without, creating this nice layered effect. It was the white light being color spraying in, and him hitting down in a form of reviving the area around him. Hence the greenery and stuff. Like, I added trees to the background. If you look, it's hard to tell because I'm a rough one. I originally was going to do like a whole video where have like a time lapse of me making this, but I'm not really that confident in my artistic skills. Also, yet, basically they say trees. These are originally supposed to be dead trees, but where you can see like the outer part is dead stuff. Like, basically there parts of them are the tree is on the parts closest. It's sort of like a wave of light comes and starts reviving the tree. And as for its effect, and of course the references keep on that it's a ritual effect which modified more too, but whenever a player special summons a monster or monsters, they gain life points equal to the summoner's attack points. And also, whenever a monster is special summoned to the player's side of the... Oh, shoot. Sorry. Oh, wait, what the... Okay, I could have sworn I added that in... Okay, now it says from the graveyard. One at least does. Okay, anyway, when it's special, they say to the side of the field, because I do know of one card, even if it was like an anime-only card, which allows you to special summon monsters, your opponent's monsters to their side, so in case there's other official cards that have something similar, I had to differentiate. Most of the time, it's going to be you summoning your own monsters to your side of the field, so you'll get... So, in that case, but yeah, when you summon to your side of... monsters are summoned from the graveyard to your side, so you're revived. The player whose side received the monsters gains life points equal to the summoned monster's defense points. And of course, most of the time it's going to be you summoning your own to your side of the field, so you'll get both their attack and defense, which can gain you a lot of extra life points. Which I thought may have been... I once considered this, but I thought it might have been all too much. But I realized how little people consider like life point gains. Like it's the only real thing is maybe the game more so you have like resources like life points to spend on effects. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Solemn, the Solemn other traps the other Solemn trap cards, sorry if I ramble, do have a life point cost. So it actually helps support the other archetypes with that effect, but even more so with this last one, which point. This one, the final one. Once per turn, it's like I don't want to have this on. I can't have this bit one be unlimited, otherwise this would be make it too powerful. Instant banned. If this card is sent to the graveyard, or effects are negated or altered, I have a specific reason for putting the altered there. Target one trap card in your graveyard, except Solemn Revival, and add it to your hand. I like to if you're wondering why. Why I have that? Well, according to this, in pretty much all the Solemn he backstories, the Solemn God is the enemy of the Dark Lords, and as such, this is him actually coming back from defeat out by the hands. So hence why you also gain, like, in this charge, you can send other trap cards, like, maybe not itself, but perhaps all other Solemn trap cards can be returned to your hand for further use. And as for the altered, one of those Dark Lords is Dark Lord Nurse Refugal. Excuse me if I get the pronunciations right. Its effect is, and there's another famous trap called Reaction Bad Mochi, which has the same effect, but it's specifically because a Dark Lord has the effect that I have that. Any effect that would have your opponent gain life points inflicts the same amount of damage to them instead. Hang on. Okay, I remember one of them having a different ruling. Hang on. Let me see what the... 1 second. Okay, okay, sorry. It's the Reaction to Bad Mochi, which has, simply says, this card, any effects that increase your opponent's output is changed to inflict, so it actually changes it. Okay, so I got do a real quick alteration here, ironically. Hang on. Okay, I'll figure out how to phrase it properly, and so it does make sure include so that this card can't not do it, but anyway, that is the card. This hopefully will be the start of a series, one better performed. I have a lot of ideas, like a second wave for a Shining Sarcophagus using the other cards you use in the duel. also original archetypes like my Valorous Ritual Gemini, my Valorous archetype, which are Ritual Gemini monsters. Which I had there. Also, I think I had something which I had for a while, but I'm gonna be trying to get this one out specifically. I keep altering the names and stuff in my head. It's not written down yet, but it's basically cards inspired by early Revolutionary America or early America folklore, but portrayed from a lens if it was from a fancy RPG like a role-playing game, digital or tabletop, whichever, where fancy things if it the Revolution had magic and mages too, but that is a video for another time. Till then, it is time for those. Maybe one day these can become real cars, or it'll be time to duel. But until then, may thee have good fortune on the quest of life.